first year I started here, a little bit like this with the weather, you know, it was raining, sleet, very, very cold. It was a bit of an experience, stand out on one of the pit edges. Yeah, it was a pretty awe-inducing experience, seeing this great big hole in the middle of the ground that I'd never seen anything like that before. And I stood there and just looked across the pit and I thought, Jesus, you know, what am I doing here? I couldn't feel my fingers and ears and nose, and I thought, this place is crazy.
You don't want to stop still for too long, the leeches will pick you up and carry you away.
It was another 90 years or so before it was even recognised as something that could be economically developed. In 1965, they did some drilling, they did a feasibility study. In 1967, they commenced mining at Savage River with a joint venture between the Australians, the Japanese and the Americans. And they were in production and officially opened at this site in 1968. From that beginning of the ore body that was too remote, too low grade, too far away to be profitable, there'd be a lot of people who wouldn't have thought this would ever have lasted 50 years.
So in our small ceremony today, we're going to reflect back on some of the rich history from our last 50 years and take a moment to look forward at what the next 50 years might look like.
The ore body here is certainly unique. It's the lowest phosphorus ore body in the world. We've also got some excellent trace elements in vanadium and titanium that really make for good steel.
We take a magnetite iron ore, we grind it, we crush it, we take it down, we pump it into slurry in our pipeline, we bring it down here to Port Ladder, we dewater it, we indurate it, we turn it into a pellet, we run it offshore, we load it onto ships and we provide that to the market. So we know what we do. But often we've been talking about why we do what we do. Why do we come to work? Why does Grange exist and why are we here?
Came here in October 1967 as a 23-year-old. We came over the top of what they call the 3 Mile Hill, and you could see the Savage River Township right in the distance, and there was the button grass had been dozed off, right, and it left the white quartzite, and we didn't know what we were coming into.
It's a real hallmark of the people that have had a vision for what this could be and the people that have come over the years to put in their energy and effort and passion into it to make it work and make it keep going.
They wanted some shift supervisors to start the plant up, and I decided, you know, that this was going to be my working life, and that's what it happened to be, actually.
The plan was to supply high-quality pellets into the Japanese market. The initial plan was about a 45 million tonne delivery over the period of 20 years.
Construction phase didn't take very long. Believe it or not, for when they first decided to start this place in '65, 2 years later everything was built up and running. So 2.5 years they were actually producing.
They managed to take from the drilling, the exploration drilling, within the space of 2 years. They started mining in the pit, they constructed the concentrator, they built a township, they built an 85-kilometre pipeline all the way to the Port Ladder here, and they constructed the pellet plant and the 1.6-kilometre offshore structure in the space of 2 years. An amazing feat.
My dad was on a dozer pushing the pipeline through. from commencement of the project, really.
To build the pipeline and to bring this project online in the time that they did was amazing.
Without the pipeline, Savage River probably would have never been developed.
It was an engineering marvel, no, really. That piece of pipe has saved millions of truckloads of oil going to the coast.
They reckon the pipeline was good for 20 years, and here it is 50 years later, and it's going brilliant.
I know that people like Dad have been pushing bush tracks in for years and kind of knew exactly where to go as far as direction. You could put him in the bush anywhere and he'd find his way out and no trouble at all. The pipeline sort of started in early '66, had to shut down for winter for a few months, and they advanced very rapidly, and by early '67 they'd made it all the way through, so that was an unbelievable feat. Had to cross the Savage River. The span of the pipe there is 300 metres of pipe. It's 150 metres above the water. The anchors are 450 metres apart. So for those guys to put that bit of infrastructure in was unbelievable back in those days. We replaced 800 metres of the pipe a year or two back, and it took nearly as long as it took to build it. So there you go. They did a good job.
We hope to develop a mine for about 45 million tons. That'll be 2.25 million tons a year. That'll be transported through the pipeline up to Port Lada. This is an offshore installation which will go out to 50 feet of water.
What is the length of the pipeline contemplated?
The pipeline coming to Port Lada is about 52 miles.
From its opening, they produced up to about 2.4 million tonnes of product per year. That was the design capacity for the plant.
I started out as an apprentice and I finished up as a sort of a senior planner. They were good years. It was a challenging sort of role.
As apprentices, we had a barracks called I Barracks, and that was full of apprentices, and the culture in there was quite different. It was a bit of an eye-opener for a 16-year-old. They always called it the Wild West. Well, I don't know whether you could say that. There's certainly always something going on in different events in the town, like that you really wouldn't want to know about.
I came down here in '78 as a draftsman.
No, I think my wages are started on $45 a week clear, $90 a fortnight I got paid, so I lived on 20 in the first year and banked the rest so I could buy my first car.
Both my girls actually worked in the camp as well, and now my son started as an apprentice at Port Lada, so it's a bit of like the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree, and my brother works at Port Lada as a supervisor.
Now we're currently employing around about 550 people, and now over that 50 years there's been a lot of people who have been employed by this operation.
Once this mine's in your blood, it's hard to get it out.
In the late 80s, the ownership sort of changed slightly and they reduced that throughput to about 1.5 million tonnes.
It's hard to remember a year at all in the first 20 years where the company called us together with good news. If they had a reason to call us together, it was because the price was too low and we were going to close. It was always bad news.
At that time, it was 25 years. The mine had been going for 25 years then, because they more or less said to us it was only a 20-year operation when we came here, more or less.
I remember when I started 20 years ago, there was an induction video that said this is a marginal operation, it'll only go for about 2 years. Every year about Christmas time, I think things were pretty dire.
The operation was run into the ground over the last 4 or 5 years and was in a very poor state, and as expected, it was in closure mode and there was no point in actually investing any more money in the operation.
They give the workforce a 5-year plan, right, that they were going to close the mine in 1997. I went through a close down period where the town was pulled down and all the amenities gone, everybody left and the mill and everything shut down, and
although we all kind of hoped that it would continue. But when it did close in Christmas '96, we all really thought that was the end of the operation.
Some new guys came in, Australian Bulk Minerals, 4 guys came in and negotiated with the government and the company about taking over the property.
I fortunately received a phone call very early January '97 asking if I was interested in going back. So I came back to work. I was basically first person back on site at Port Ladder.
It's like reliving your childhood. You get to dig holes and you get paid for it. It's just big trucks and big diggers, so like you used to play with in the sandpit, but yeah, on a larger scale.
Keep playing in the sandpit really, except it's a big sandpit.
It's a pretty extensive footprint. It's nearly 5 k's from the northern end of North Pit through to South Deposit.
Loved the place from when I first arrived. I remember walking around and looking at some of the infrastructure, especially around the reclaimers, and I remember I was with an electrician who's still here currently, Heath Middup, and I said to him, surely they're not operations? And he said, yeah, no they are, and we're still maintaining them today.
At peak production, the mining operation moves enough material to fill the MCG every month.
Oh, I guess it's just bred into you. Like to get our hands greasy, dirty. It's just the way, we do things. There's mechanics that work on the little cars, and then there's the guys that work on the big stuff.
Over the last 50 years, we've had 1,942 ships come through our port as we've exported over 100 million tonnes of pellets. In May 2005, we saw Shagang take their first ship of our pellets. And then a couple of years later, they bought the company. The purchase of ABM by Shagang was a real milestone in our history that provided some funding and injection of life that took us into this next 20-year phase. Our product has travelled about 2 weeks from Port Ladder and arrived here on the Yangtze River at Jiangsu Shagang, the largest steelmaking company in China. They're a privately owned company, and it's being stockpiled here for Shagang to use in their blast furnace.
我们这里是没有矿山的，也就是没有铁矿的，也没有煤矿的。所以资源呢，从铁矿的角度来讲，我们中国的这个铁矿本身资源比较少。那么澳大利亚应该说是铁矿资源比较丰富的地方。但是我们这个产业不可能在澳大利亚拿到大的铁矿、大的矿山，所以格兰尼这个矿山呢是一个开采比较整合的矿山，并且不但是有金矿，还有锡矿。 还有球团是一条龙的，是吧？规模也比较小。那么，作为我们这个公司来讲呢，我们也有能力呢收购它。
A real hallmark of the Tasmanian industry is it provides high-quality niche products into the world market, and the Savage River project is no different. Our product is a high-quality pellet. It has low impurities. It's really sought after in the steelmaking process. And I think Savage River is another example of Tasmania punching above its weight.
再加上我们近期有收购以后，它的产销了就畅通了。当然也随着这个中国市场空间的变大，它的销售呢，实际上是得到了根本的改善。再加上呢，作为我们是收购方。 我们也比较大的客户，也能够帮助他，是吧？ 解决一些呢产品的销售问题。所以进去以后呢，出现的是产销这个多年来一直是平衡的，能生产多少销售多少。
One of the keys to our success has been having Mr. Zhao and the connection that he's had to our major customer here. So he's got a great insight into what the major customer needs, and also he understands the steelmaking industry, he understands where our product's going, and that's helped us to add value to the business for all our shareholders.
小时候是想过，只想出国，没想到到塔斯马尼亚，但是呢，开始去呢还不太了解。因为还有一个文化差异。通过现在接触了以后呢，我们葛兰奇这个硬性团队飞过了，特别在办的这个生产硬性这个团队的这个领导之下，还有我们 CFO 的这个蒂文，他这个财务团队运作之下，包括这个高级经理都是这个葛兰奇这一块，塔斯马尼亚的生产已经形成了一套的整套的计划，这个制度。一切都是按照预算计划进行生产，管理的是井井有条，安全生产做得非常好。
Government regulation is a continually improving and developing thing. So what we could have done under a regulation 30 years ago, it's not likely we could even contemplate doing it now.
As much as we might not like what happened in the past with mining and some of the bad practices that we used to do, it's a lot stricter and we do look after the environment.
We certainly understand the geochemistry better than what we did in the past. Certainly when they started the project, they didn't understand the consequences of the pyrite in the ore body causing acid rock drainage.
The Golda Agreement was an arrangement that was made between the new owner and the government to give the new owner some time to actually get the plant back up to the required standard in regards to safety and environmental requirements.
It was quite an innovative partnership between the Tasmanian government and, at the time, ABM, to allow ABM to correct some of the environmental legacy issues. It's about being able to have current miners assist in remediating some of the problems of the past. A very innovative way that's been recognised as such around the world, to be able to partner with government to improve environmental outcomes on the site in a win-win situation.
Nowadays, one, we're morally obligated, let alone legally obligated, not to actually progress like that any longer. We put a lot of energy into rehabbing some of those legacy areas, even on this mine site from the early days. In my 12 years, I've seen a big change in how we rehabilitate areas, how we co-dispose waste rock, and even where we store the ore. The reporting of the EPBC animals, even. You know, we never used to report on the wedge-tailed eagles that we all used to see, but now we do. Every time we see it, we report it, same as the devils.
Now we've been able to innovate and been able to bring life back to the Savage River through things like coarse rock flow-throughs with Broderick Creek. It's increased the alkalinity in the river and brought fish and wildlife back into that environment.
So we've built a really strong safety culture here at Grange. We're really focused on making sure that people should be able to turn up to work and go home in equal to or better condition than when they came.
Seen some of the old photos of, yes, no safety helmets, no glasses, thongs, shorts, and no shirts.
That's not good. Even earplugs in the lift, I am pedantic about earplugs in the lift and you don't have to. It is the way we do things around here now.
We've got some safety principles and we believe that no task is so important that it can't be done safely.
In the old days, you wouldn't even really count what you used to use it. It'd just, you go and book it out and you poke it in the hole, kaboom, and then go back to the crib hut and have a coffee. Nowadays, there's different processes where responsible people have to sign off on the whole blasting process from design to implementation and then firing day. So there's a whole range of rules that have sort of been brought up through the years to make it safer and more efficient.
found at Savage River an embryo township carved out of a wilderness. A town to accommodate up to 1,500 people.
There have been a number of world firsts here at the operation. From its construction with the pipeline, the 85-kilometre pipeline, that was an upcycle from the oil industry. It's a 9-inch pipe. It was the longest pipe of its time in the world. That goes across a suspension bridge across the Savage River that was 350 metres long. That was the longest suspension structure of its time. When the mills were installed at Savage River, they were 32-foot mills. They were the largest in the world of its day. We were the first to utilise remote controlled drill rigs in a surface application, something that had been done underground but not on the surface in an open pit before.
We've been able to be very innovative and been able to develop some world first remote equipment between drill rigs, large excavators, now a remote dewatering rig, and we're working towards the future to be able to do remote high wall scaling with special excavators that would be able to lower down the wall on cables and clear any of the loose rocks off remotely.
The technology that's come in since the 80s, you know, with the mechanical engines and all you can see, you can read gauge clusters and that's about it. Now from the offices we can see readouts of oil pressures and your suspension cylinder pressures and how much they're carting, so your payload. We can all see that sitting behind our desk.
So we know what we do. But often we've been talking about why we do what we do. Why do we come to work? Why does Grange exist and why are we here? And we have a belief. We believe that we have an amazing natural resource at Savage River that should be provided to the benefit of humankind. To be able to see our product being used in their process, to be able to take the mineral out of the ground so that we have it and provide that to these other countries that are developing so rapidly, that need the product to provide security, to provide shelter, to provide that necessary infrastructure that we're seeing. Yesterday we looked at a bridge that's an 11-kilometre long bridge that's going to cross the Yangtze River, and that's providing people and access to markets, and it's improving quality of life for people here in the country. To see the amount of product that they produce, but also the quality and the innovation. So to be a small part of that is a real privilege. So for Savage River, where to now for the next 50 years? I think there are some real opportunities here. We're committing some funding to exploring and looking at potential to take North Pit underground. We've got an amazing deposit here at Savage and we haven't seen the bottom of it yet. We've got a drill hole below Centre Pit, which was the original pit, and that drill hole is 850 metres long. It intersects the ore body at 650 metres below sea level, and the ore body is still 150 metres wide, massive high-grade magnetite. So there's a real opportunity for us to understand how deep does this thing go. We've got a magnetite deposit in Western Australia called Southdown. That's got high-grade iron. It's also got low impurities. There's 1.2 billion tonnes over there, and it's very similar to this. It's about 100 kilometres away from a port. We'll need to build a pipeline, and guess what? We've got some world experts here that are ready to go and provide that knowledge.
沙场这个项目是非常好的，这个它的品质应该说是世界的极品。主要它这个我们磁铁矿这个通过磨粉以后要达到69.6。那么现在中国的发展也好，世界的钢铁的发展，现在这个矿山高品质的这个金矿，这个铁粉越来越少。
We have a high quality product that is certainly not diminishing. It's valued in the market, is holding firm if not increasing, and I see us shipping out as much tonnage as we have in the past, if not more, which is exciting. We've got some exciting projects coming up in the next really short term that's going to help our efficiency and our ability to increase to market our product. And again, we'll draw on the experience of our workforce to help lead that.
I think an inspiring part of the Shagang story is to see where a leader like Mr. Shen has come from, where he started out, his vision about how it's important to work hard, to commit to your business, to have a vision for what you want to become and to strive to achieve the targets and to always improve. They're things that we hold dear at Savage River as well.
首先是要有坚韧精神，我看到就是长性，不留的退缩，持之以恒的精神，也就是要坚韧的这种精神。这个我感觉到，我们沙钢也好，特别是我们从格兰尼这个矿产公司来讲，这个从管理的总经理，包括我们的这个一直在第一线工作的总经理，那员工的接受，在这个岛上，在这个格兰尼的这个很大的原始森林的一个地方开采，这是要有接受精神的，要有坚持精神的，要克服很多困难的。因为只有这一批的管理者和员工，格兰尼才能走到今天，才能走到这个矿山这个寿命50年。
50 years ago, Eric Rees proclaimed that the birth of this great new mining venture will give a great economic impetus to the west and northwest coast regions of Tasmania. It has been responsible for the birth of a town and the creation of a modern industrial port, and both will grow in parallel with the development of the iron ore export industry.
And I think the thing that inspires me is being able to work with the people that we have here. We've faced some challenges, but together somehow we've been able to grapple with it, wrestle with it, and we've come up with a way forward together. And that inspires me to say that this operation continue. It's that pioneering spirit that underpins our business. Our teams continue to work together, they continue to innovate, they look for better ways to do things, they continuously improve. They've made this workplace far safer than it's ever been, far more efficient than it's ever been, and we've got a long way to go yet.